3. Milton, thank you so much for your time this afternoon on a Friday. I really appreciate it. I'm just super excited about what you're doing in the context of video. And I'm going to use the not correct words to describe your business. Unmanned video production. That is amazing. That is amazing. That is amazing. How do you create unmanned video production for sporting companies and the clients that you have?
That's the secret sauce. Thanks for having me, Taimour. It's funny you use the term unmanned video because as we think of ways to define our business, I often call it humanless cameras, the way we are moving to a world of driverless cars, right?
Yes.
And so we do for people riding in cars what, content producers need through unmanned video cameras, right? And so we have algorithms, patented algorithms that are able to figure out movements on the court and identify basically heat maps of action and frame that action and move side to side and zoom in and zoom out and make it look like a person is actually videoing that game. We can produce that game, embed digital graphics, update the scores, and deliver a completely automated solution for our end users. We currently do that for 6 entire professional basketball leagues in Europe. And we work with a number of NBA teams here in the States. And we think that it's a logical extension of producing high-level content at a really affordable price, because we know that the world is just thirsty for more and more unique sports content.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Just on that one sentence, I can go 10 hours each way. So I will try to control myself in talking to you, okay? So you have to tell me to control myself. First part, I had the privilege of interviewing the futurists at TCS, Tata Consulting Services.
Yeah.
And one of the things he did was he painted the business model of the driverless car. And the way he said is that driverless car, what nobody thinks about is trucks, for instance, now will drive through your city, in your case, New York, and they're not going to stop by for coffee. The driverless cars. But nobody thinks about they're not going to stop by for coffee. Well, what's the economic impact? The restaurant owner, the coffee owner, the motel guy, whatever, everybody's business radically declines. The mechanic guy, business declines. Like that. The municipal guy, the municipal government, instead of collecting $100 in taxes, is now collecting $5. Well, there's an economic impact to that. What's the economic impact of the the unmanned
humanless cameras
production crew? There's got to be economic impact here. I want to hear that story. Tell me about it.
Well, I think some of the examples you cited will have lateral implications, because part of the expense of producing sporting events is the human capital, whether it's them flying, them driving in the trucks, the union labor setting up and breaking down production sets, and what are those guys eating, what hotels are they staying in, all those things. So there is some of that replacement.
You're attacking the same market. You're also taking out the hotel guy.
Yeah. There's some of that, but I think from a bigger picture point of view, we're not as excited, and we are excited about producing sporting events that are currently being produced by professionals. But we think there's a huge world out there of sporting events that were never produced because there was no revenue model that could justify the investment in a high quality production solution. And so you either have people saying, we're not even going to bother producing this event, even though it might be the most exciting finish of any basketball game that year, and so it goes unseen. Nobody took the risk to go and produce it and try to monetize that event. And we're going to be able to do that for second-tier sports, secondary leagues, the long tail, which is youth sports, all these events that maybe today are being produced through iPhones, that we're going to be able to, again, deliver a 1080p and eventually a 4K quality video that, again, nobody's producing, at least not very well today. As far as the example of really high-end productions, I'll give you a metric. A typical NBA game costs about $100,000 per night to produce.
Yes.
So we're probably not going to compete with that, but we might be competing with the $50,000 a night or $25,000 a night productions. And so there will certainly be some, truck drivers for the TV trucks and cablers, and again, the food and beverage people that have less work to do if we do a good job. But again, I think the bigger opportunity is producing the events that aren't currently being produced.
So you see your competitor to be the iPhone?
Yeah. I think, with any new technology, when it comes down at first, you're willing to put up with an iPhone picture, which isn't great today. We think it's great because there was no alternative. But in a few years, you're going to be like, I want my kid's high school game to look just as good as this game on ESPN.
I love it. Okay, dude, I can go 10 hours each way. Let me go, not change direction. What's the future roadmap for your product, if you don't mind me asking? I don't need you to give me competitive information or whatever secret information. So what's the future roadmap for your company or your product?
Well, I think, before I came to the company 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And when I first got here, we were a 720p only solution. We did not have our eyes set on 1080. We were only a single camera automated setup, and we were only for coaching. We just started doing live streaming. In the 2 years since, and a lot of this was in the works before I got here, so I'm not trying to take credit for this, but we have become a 1080 solution, which is a big jump, and it looks great on television for HD. We are now a multiple camera semi-automated solution, so we can do up to 5 cameras, whereas we used to only be able to do 1. As I mentioned earlier, we have an instant replay for referee solution that we didn't have before. And we can now do multiple sports. We were primarily basketball back then, but now we do hockey. We have partnerships with 2 NHL teams, and we can do volleyball as well, futsal, handball. And so as I look deeper and further, and I think to what else we're going to be developing, it's certainly more sports. Outdoors will be a big jump. But it's going to be also different camera angles, whereas right now we have 3 fixed and 2 handhelds. But maybe we get up to 7 cameras, and maybe it's a different combination. We're going to be able to track things in different ways. Right now we track kind of the flow and the swarm of the motion. And then, I envision a day where if there are 10 players on the basketball court, we'll have at least 10 different feeds, because there's going to be somebody that wants to see just the way you're moving around the court or just the way I'm moving around the court, because it's going to be so easy to break that out through this automated technology.
So 5 years from today, 10 years from today, you retire and a new CEO comes in. New CEO says, we have to generate new revenues and we need to go into adjacent industries other than sports. What are the adjacent industries?
The adjacent industries are anything that gets videoed. So, you think on a daily basis how much we watch that's video content, things that you don't even think of that are being shot through cameramen. that could be your news report. It could be Anderson Cooper on CNN one night. It could be a lecture at Harvard University. There's certainly a security aspect that we could solve for. But I think, again, there's replacement value with those things, but we also have to think beyond of what's today, right? And so 5 years ago, I think most of us frowned upon the idea of a selfie.
Mm-hmm.
We thought it was, hokey and self-consuming. And today it's so ubiquitous that everybody and their mother and grandmother is happy to take selfies, right?
That's right.
And
That's
all
right.
we know is everybody wants more content, whether it's static or live video of themselves, whether it's through Snapchat or Instagram stories. And I think that's going to continue because the cost to produce all this content through solutions like Keymotion, and the ways to actually portal that out to consumers or fans is going to continue to evolve. So we're going to move to a world where everything is videoed.
Milton, I want to ask you a question here. I invest a lot in artificial intelligence companies. I also sell some of them, resell some of them that are.
Okay.
One of the biggest frustrations for AI companies, I'll just use some common terminology if I may, unmanned.
Yeah.
Unmanned whatever. Unmanned vehicle, unmanned camera, unmanned whatever. As a buyer adoption or the user buying process. One of the world's largest banks, executive in one of the world's largest banks a couple of weeks ago said to me, actually, no, I shouldn't make that comment. Hold on, let me, a conference producer who's putting a conference on data centers told me that one reason that enterprises don't buy into unmanned anything is because they're dealing with the challenge of the number of people that they're laying off, that they would have to lay off, fire. In your context, some leagues are unionized. You would be a threat to that business model. My question to you is, how do you write the business model for this?
It's something that is going to be an unfortunate byproduct of a lot of these automated technologies, but it's a reality we have to face. And I don't know that the outcome is going to be as linear as we think, right? It's not like one camera system is going to displace those two workers or whatever it is. Oftentimes technology takes a life of its own and people have different jobs. It's not just, that job that he was capable of, or different jobs are created because of cheaper ways of doing other jobs, right? We think of the banking industry, and when the ATM was introduced, almost 40 years ago, that, I don't know what Toronto's like, but it certainly has not reduced the amount of tellers and banks in New York City. There's one on every single corner. So, sometimes technological innovation can actually produce the opposite effect of what you think is going to happen. That being said, to get people to adopt us at this early stage, I do agree with you that there is some hesitation, it's probably subconscious more than conscious, of these people thinking, this Keymotion sounds fantastic, but in a couple of years, I may not be needed. And it's something that, we have to keep going around the world, meeting with potential partners and clients that are willing to take the risk and understand that the benefits greatly outweigh, the drawbacks, and find those partners and evangelists and early adopters that are willing to take a chance on us. And again, luckily, we do operate in 10 countries around the world and have gotten good adoption, but it's, kind of a never-ending battle to let people see that, we're really adding value.
I like it. I got it. The one thing I admire about your thinking is the fact that you're in multiple countries, because I know lots of companies who are suffering because from a geographic perspective, they're in one country, and if a recession hits or this hits or whatever hits, their business literally shuts down. And I love that you have multiple geographies, and I love the fact that you're in the sporting world, because sporting requires, first of all, humans like sports, and there's a score there. I really like that. Very cool. So I got it. So what are the biggest fears and challenges somebody in your shoe has? Somebody who's trying to sell a disruptive technology or disruptive thinking?
One of the fears, and I have to pull myself back when I go down this rabbit hole, is, with all technology, you wonder what else is out there or what else is going to show up tomorrow that might compete against us. So we're interesting in that we're a hardware software solution. We install the cameras, but then we deliver the software to the client. And so they never really deal with the cameras. And there is competitive advantage to being very good at installing those cameras. And so we think that builds a little bit of the moat around us. And then also the evolution of a lot of technologies goes something like this, and it's relevant in our case as well, right? It's pretty easy to develop an iteration of our technology up to the 70% mark, right? And so many companies have tried, and they've said, oh, I'm going to have 3 of my engineers work on this for the next year, 2 years, see what we can come up with. Because computer vision is ubiquitous enough at this stage that people feel good about it to go start that project. And then they start bumping their heads against the wall and they say, wow, it's going to be really hard for me to actually develop this further. And then so from that 70 to 90% area, a lot of people fall off, and I think there's maybe 2 other companies out there that are in that 70 to 90% area. But even hitting that 90% area, it's really hard, right? And then so we're operating as leaders in our market space, we're operating close to the 100% area, right? And so that 90 to 100% area is even tougher. And you think of it, I kind of equivocate it back to the car industry. It's today's day and age, it's probably not that hard to build a Hyundai car, but it's harder to build a Mercedes car, certainly, than a Hyundai. And then it's a lot harder to build a Tesla than it is to build a Mercedes or a Hyundai, right? Because it's a new technology, a new iteration of what at the base is not that hard to develop. And so, we are aware of potential competitors. Another thing that keeps me up at night, again, is how to effectively spread the word and gospel of key motion and automated technology, and how we can help, and how we're your friend, not foe. And other than that, it's keeping the troops motivated, keeping people excited. We have a great team of engineers, but engineering and sports don't always go hand in hand.
That's amazing. That's an amazing business problem to have.
Yeah,
it's not like you can't call a local consultant to fix that one.
So for me, being a basketball person, this is fantastic, and it's unbelievable what we're doing. And we're dealing with the biggest brands like the Golden State Warriors and Villanova basketball, and so how to keep them excited about it as well. And we're a cross-border, cross-continent company. We have our R&Ds out of Belgium, but our business development's here in New York. That presents challenges. How we're going to expand around the world, because we know we have demand in Asia. All these things are challenges that we're excited about.
I want to go into one of the things that keeps you up at night is the what else is out there. Just as a venture capital with a television show, I see a lot of the what else is out there.
Good.
So, companies based out of Montreal uses art. So, when I hear the business you're in, and I kind of understand what you do, I get the camera thing. What I hear the business you're in is that you're in the content creation business.
Yeah.
Most simply said. So now I want to talk about the what else is out there in content creation perspective. Company out of Montreal came to our last TV episode, and what they do is they use artificial intelligence to tell you what the headline of your magazine, your book cover, your email subject should be. I said, that's pretty cool. And then what they do is then they tell you where you should be posting your content in. And then when they did a sample demo, they said, whatever their client was, Company ABC, published content on YouTube. We use artificial intelligence to say, no, don't publish on YouTube, publish on Reddit. And it's this particular group in Reddit. And it's AI that zero in and says, this is where you should be publishing it.
Wow.
What I like about artificial intelligence is now threatening advertising marketing agencies. If AI is going to tell me what the headline of the TV show is going to be. You're giving me a strange look, so I'll wait for it to sink in.
So I'm sorry, what's the question?
I'm just sharing with you what else is out there.
Oh, yeah.
Is artificial intelligence telling you what the content is.
Oh, could it, you're saying?
No, it is. It's not could it. It is. When you roll up, it is.
Oh, well, I think that as we think about the future of our technology.
Yeah. You gotta, I bet you, somewhere that you gotta put AI in what you do.
Oh, we do. Yeah.
Amazing.
And today, again, we are doing a traditional production of, capturing all the players on the court, focused around the ball. But again, if you think of the possibilities, the way our technology works, why do we only have to have one camera feed out of our one camera? We could have 20 different feeds coming out of there. We could have one for every individual player. We could have one surrounding the ball. We could have one right on the coach. We could have one all from one camera. And then you could have AI determining what's the most interesting action to follow. Let's say you and I got into a little, bumping match under the basket. And let's zoom in on that and switch over to there. Somebody just scored their third three-pointer and automatically replay that replay without any human interaction because, you're the leading three-point shooter in the league and people love seeing your highlights. There's so much we can do with AI, including just improving general accuracy in our productions.
This is amazing. Milton, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me end this conversation and I'll come back right back.